From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Aylia Batool. Dozens of U.S. Muslim groups lost federal security funds after unproven terrorism claims. This and more on today's show, so stay tuned. President Donald Trump's long campaign for a Nobel Peace Prize has ended in failure. The Norwegian Nobel Committee on Friday awarded the 2025 Peace Prize to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. The committee says she has been awarded for her tireless work promoting democratic rights and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy. The decision has sparked backlash. Al Jazeera journalist Dima Khatib said Machado is pro-Likud, supports Netanyahu's Gaza genocide, and plans to restore Israel-Venezuela ties. Pakistani writer Fatima Bhutto calls it a prize that rewards the foot soldiers of Western imperial politics. Meanwhile, Trump, who claims to have stopped 8 wars in 9 months, had been openly lobbying for the honor. He was nominated by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Pakistan. Netanyahu is an unindicted war criminal facing charges of genocide at the International Criminal Court. Trump has repeatedly argued that he deserved the prize more than former U.S. President Barack Obama, who was awarded the honor in 2009. Approximately 200 U.S. troops will join a multinational force to monitor and help implement the U.S.-brokered ceasefire in Gaza. A senior official in Washington said American troops will help set up what he called a joint control center and coordinate with other international forces. U.S. Central Command Chief Admiral Bradley Cooper will oversee the mission, which will focus on preventing ceasefire violations and maintaining communication. White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt said the troops, who are already stationed under CENTCOM, will work with other countries on the ground to support the International Stabilization Force. The deployment comes after President Donald Trump announced Israel and Hamas agreed to the first phase of his 20-point Gaza peace plan. The deal includes prisoner exchanges, a phased Israeli withdrawal, and the creation of a new administration for Gaza. Israeli soldiers killed at least 17 Palestinians and wounded 71 others in strikes during the final hours before a U.S.-brokered ceasefire took hold at noon Friday, according to the health ministry in Gaza. Al Jazeera reports that the bodies of at least 35 people were recovered from the Baptist hospital, including 19 in Gaza City. The Israeli army has confirmed the ceasefire with Hamas began at noon local time, as troops pulled back to agreed positions under the U.S.-brokered plan. However, heavy Israeli shelling was reported in northern Gaza just hours before the truce. Israel's Justice Ministry published a list of 250 Palestinian prisoners to be released in exchange for Israeli prisoners. The list excludes senior Palestinian figures like Marwan Barghouti and Ahmed Sadat, whose release Hamas has demanded. Hamas official Khalil al-Hayya says mediators have guaranteed the deal ends the war completely. Israel's initial withdrawal has exposed the vast scale of destruction across residential neighborhoods and infrastructure, where entire districts have been reduced to rubble. Footage shared by activists and journalists on social media has revealed unprecedented devastation. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed at least 67,194 people and wounded 169,890 since October 2023, most of them women, children, the elderly, and civilians. Thousands more are believed to be buried under the rubble of destroyed buildings. A new report says Indian state and corporate investments have sustained Israel's war economy since 2023. The 100-page study, Profit and Genocide, Indian Investments in Israel, was published by the New Delhi-based think tank Center for Financial Accountability, or CFA. Authored by researcher Hajira Puthij, the report links more than $6 billion in Indian funds to Israeli defense, technology, and infrastructure firms. Public interest lawyer Prashant Bhushan says India has aided and abetted Israel's genocide. The report names major Indian players including Adani, Reliance, Bharat Electronics, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, and Indian Oil, which are all tied to Israeli arms and tech companies. Adani's purchase of Haifa port and joint ventures producing missiles and drones are among the examples cited. Reliance Industries invested $25 million in the Jerusalem Innovation Incubator, $28 million in screens, and $2.4 million in Neolink for 5G technologies. Tech Mahindra signed a $150 to $200 million deal with Converse, while Tata Industries invested $5 million in Tel Aviv University's tech fund. The CFA is calling on India's government and corporations to halt partnerships with Israel. Dozens of Muslim organizations across the United States have been stripped of federal security funding meant to protect them from hate crimes and extremist attacks. The Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, allege the groups have ties to terrorism. CNN reports that 6 months earlier, the Trump administration had asked the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, to block millions of dollars meant for Muslim organizations. FEMA leaders objected, warning that such a move would be discriminatory and illegal. The proposal was dropped, but months later, many Muslim groups lost their funding. Another agency claimed the groups had ties to terrorism. 5 FEMA insiders told CNN the new terrorism allegations are questionable. They said the groups were already vetted and cleared. Some believed the claims were used as a pretext to justify cutting funds. The Islamic Society of North America, or ISNA, says its grant was canceled without reason. A Homeland Security spokesperson had denied targeting Muslims. The department claims that funds were cut only for groups linked to terrorism. Muslim leaders have called the action unfair and warned that it puts their communities at greater risk amid rising hate crimes. Millions of women and children risk losing food aid as the Republican-led shutdown threatens to drain funds for the WIC program. Details coming up after the break. Welcome back. A federal grand jury in Virginia has charged New York Attorney General Letitia James with bank fraud. Reports say the case is part of President Donald Trump's push to go after his political opponents. James, one of Trump's strongest critics, earlier won a civil fraud case that led to major financial penalties against his business empire. The Guardian reports that it is rare for a top federal prosecutor to personally appear before a grand jury. Lindsay Halligan, Trump's new U.S. attorney in Virginia, led the case. A federal judge has temporarily blocked President Donald Trump from deploying the National Guard to Illinois. The order came Thursday after Trump directed troops to several Democratic-led cities, calling protesters insurrectionists. U.S. District Judge April Perry said she found no credible evidence of any rebellion in the state. She warned sending troops could cause civil unrest and add fuel to the fire amid Trump's crackdown on immigration protests. The restraining order, which is effective for 14 days, stops 200 Texas Guardsmen and 300 Illinois troops from being federalized or deployed to Chicago. Illinois is among several states challenging the legality of Trump's use of the National Guard to police local matters. A federal food program for women and children could run out of money next week as the Republican-led government shutdown continues. The Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC, serves nearly 7 million families. It provides free milk, baby formula, and fresh produce to low-income parents and children under 5. Washington, D.C.-based watchdog group Food and Water Watch has warned that over 5 million children could go hungry if funding lapses. The group's Mitch Jones says it is poor women and children who will feel the impacts first and worst. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley has urged Republicans to stop playing with people's lives and pass a funding bill. Democrats have proposed full funding for WIC, while the GOP plan would effectively cut $600 million. The shutdown follows President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which has already stripped food and health benefits from millions of low-income Americans. Anti-Muslim hate crimes in England and Wales have jumped by nearly a fifth, sparking alarm among Muslim groups. Shaista Gohir, head of the Muslim Women's Network, says she is deeply worried about the rising hostility and government inaction. According to The Guardian, Home Office data shows reported anti-Muslim hate crimes rose from 2,690 to 3,199 in the year ending March 2025, the highest in 3 years. Gohir says these figures are an underestimation, pointing to unreported cases and rising fear after recent attacks. She has accused ministers of remaining silent and is calling for immediate protection of Muslim communities. The figures come amid wider increases in racially and religiously motivated crimes and tensions fueled by Israel's genocide in Gaza. Gohir's charity has launched a national helpline, Muslim Safety Net, to help victims of hate crimes. A Spanish Catholic priest has been convicted of hate speech. Father Custodio Ballester, a Barcelona parish priest, was found guilty of making hostile remarks towards Muslims. The court ruled that his published essay in 2016 and podcast comments crossed the line into Islamophobia. Ballester argued that dialogue between Christianity and Islam was unattainable. The priest denies wrongdoing and says he is being silenced for his beliefs. He plans to appeal even to the European Court of Human Rights if needed. His supporters say Spain's hate speech laws are restricting free debate within the church. Malaysia has granted a provisional license to Facet to launch what it calls the world's first stablecoin-powered Islamic digital bank. Facet is a Dubai and Indonesia-based digital finance company offering crypto, gold, and stock investments through a single app. Facet officials say the license will allow them to operate inside Malaysia's regulatory sandbox for Islamic finance. It plans to offer Sharia-compliant savings, financing, and investment products backed by digital assets. According to the company, users will be able to hold deposits, invest in U.S. stocks, gold, and cryptocurrencies, and make payments through a Visa-linked crypto card. Facet says its stablecoin system helps avoid interest-bearing products, which are prohibited under Islamic law. CEO Muhammad Rafi Hussain said the venture combines the credibility of a global bank with the innovation of fintech. The move could accelerate crypto integration across the $5 trillion Islamic finance industry. A new study shows women carry a greater genetic risk for major depression than men. Researchers at Australia's QIMR Bureau for Medical Research Institute analyzed genetic data from nearly 500,000 people. Their findings, published in Nature Communications, found 16 genetic variants linked to depression in women and 8 in men. One of the newly discovered variants lies on the X chromosome. Scientists say the results suggest women have a higher overall burden of genetic risk, which may explain why depression affects them more often worldwide. The study also found that some genetic markers influence other health conditions differently in men and women. Experts say understanding these sex-based genetic differences could help improve diagnosis and treatment. They call it a significant step towards more personalized mental health care. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.